Hi everybody, Adrian Plass here.
Yes, and Bridget, hello.
So here we are, and week 29, I think.
Yeah, I think it is.
Amazing.
I think it is. And a week from now, it's Christmas.
It's Christmas. And we won't be, because the next Friday is Christmas Day.
Yeah, we just worked that out.
So I think we might take the day off on Christmas Day. But we will be back the Friday after that.
We will.
Okay.
And what a strange week it's been. Certainly in the UK. Starts the week with everybody on the same page. Everybody's going to do exactly the same thing. Oh, no, they're not.
Yeah.
Some people are going to meet people. Some people aren't. There's been some brilliant things happening, I think, around the country. I know one of the things is people putting Advent windows, making beautiful windows and a sort of trail around the town for people to follow Advent. And then there's been singing on doorsteps. But I think for some people, it's been another real crunch week, facing the fact they might not see anybody at Christmas. You know, it's been raining a lot. I don't think that helps, really.
And we continue to try and get our dog under control.
Oh, don't.
She is adorable, but she needs a little work. You know what I mean?
She does like the early morning.
So, highlights of the week for us, what do you think?
Well, we did a conference, didn't we?
We did
a
do
Zoom
conference. Yes, we did. We did a Scargill Zoom conference, and it was entitled Laughter in No Man's Land. And it was a bit odd getting back in gear. But in the end, we really enjoyed a lot of that.
I think we did. I mean, we were looking at the fact that we are kind of in a sort of no man's land between pre-COVID, post-COVID, pre-vaccine, post-vaccine, pre-Christmas, post-Christmas, and all the rest of it. And the need to laugh. And what was really nice is we did actually see in the little Zoom boxes quite a lot of old friends and some welcome new ones, didn't we?
We did indeed. Saw them slumped in their sitting rooms. They sat up a bit when I told them they looked like the living dead.
Yeah, that was very nice of you.
Yeah, I know.
Well, one of the things we mentioned was Adrian's very kind offer on Sunday evening to help me wash my hair. Now, if you've been following my latest saga, I broke my ankle about just over 4 weeks ago, and I'm still in a full plaster, so I'm still tiddling around in a wheelchair and bumping into doorways and washing my hair. Now, I know about dry shampoo. I've used dry shampoo, but I so wanted to have my hair washed, and you thought you could do it, didn't you, darling?
I was fairly confident, which was a little bit rash, and fortunately 50 years of getting used to me messing things up made it possible for Bridget to forgive me for what happened, because I got it ready. I put the what do you call it? The rose thing, the spray, the hairspray.
The shower head,
The
yes.
shower head, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I got that all ready and I turned it on. We were all ready to go.
And you were waiting for the water to warm up nicely,
I was waiting for the water to warm up.
Yeah.
And then it obviously was ready. And I pressed the button, whatever it was you do. And unfortunately, what happened?
Well, it was turned up the wrong way. So instead of the water coming down, the water not only came up, but it shot out. It covered me with water. It didn't touch my hair.
When Bridget says it covered her, I mean, we're seriously talking about every part of her except her hair.
Except my hair. The chair, wet. My trousers, me. Yeah, it was a good moment, wasn't
horrible.
It, darling?
But eventually, Bridget did forgive me.
Oh, come on, quite quickly. And you did quite a good job after that.
I did all right after that.
It was all right.
And actually, eventually, we do always forgive each other. Eventually. And I think, and we were talking about this week, we've been very lucky, really. And I sometimes wonder where individually we'd have ended up if we hadn't actually got together back in the late 60s at the old Vic Theatre School is where we met. Luck or miracle, I don't know. It's an interesting question. But just a matter of interest, what did you really think of me when you first met me back in theatre school?
I thought you were very odd. You know I did. You were totally different from anybody else there. But also you had a very strange coat. Now, I thought this was something you'd made a big decision about, and this was your style. It was a sort of ghastly old army
sort
coat.
Of donkey jacket.
It was a horrible thing, really. I have discovered over the 50 years that actually Adrian's wardrobe is not the most important thing to him. And so long as you've got something on that's suitable for the weather, you're not fashion conscious exactly, are you?
No,
But
no.
what else did I think? I actually think I mentioned it this week in that conference, that you were the first person I'd ever met who had a passion for something. Something burned in you, and it was about somebody who died over 2,000 years ago, and I'd never met anybody who burned like that. And so we've said before, haven't we? I don't know if I fell in love with you or with Jesus first, but the two kind of went together. So I'm very grateful on all levels that we met. You know.
Do you want to know what I thought about you?
No,
I
I really don't.
I really fancied you. I remember you walking into the room, and I thought, I really like her. And from that moment I did. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Anyway. But I mean, we talk a lot about the uncertainty, don't we, of faith?
Yes, we do. And what goes on behind the scenes. And maybe God did think that you and I would be good for each other. Not a lot of other people did, because we're both kind of up and down and all over the place, and neither of us are particularly practical. So I think, and certainly my dad...
He certainly didn't think we were suitable.
I think it was a very good idea, but I think God was right and my dad was wrong. And
it is interesting, though. I mean, in when I became a Christian, we always said that God had someone really definitely, specifically prepared for us to marry, and I don't know. It's
oddly how often that coincided with somebody fancying somebody else, and then when they stopped fancying them, decided that maybe God hadn't had that in mind. I think teenagers are teenagers, and one of the big problems and wonderful things about becoming a Christian in your teens, maybe, is that these things kind of get a little elevated. But
after we talked about that, I thought maybe a lot goes on more behind the scenes than we realise.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
I mean, as far as we know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had lots of ups and downs, but God has perhaps kept us safe through everything. I mean, I think because it's Advent and because we're thinking of Emmanuel, I've been thinking about that a lot. Is God with us in the middle of wherever we are? I don't think we've been... what's the word? I mean, I don't think we bypass difficulties because of being Christians. I don't think we've had an easier ride because of being Christians. But you said about the forgiveness. One of the things that strikes me is that we do have this hope. We want to be more than we are, and so that's in us, isn't it? Whereas I think for some people. There's a feeling you should stand on your rights, and that forgiveness doesn't really come into that. If you've been hurt, you stand on your right. You don't give in. I think that has helped us, and I think a lot of other people, really.
I wonder, though, if we are meant to be together, and we kind of, it's a bit late to realise we're not.
We are, seeing as how we celebrated 50 years this summer.
Maybe we're not as aware as we might have been about how much God has kept us safe behind the scenes, if you know what I mean.
Of course.
And I found this psalm that I'm going to ask you to read. Hold on. Here you are. Look, read this out. This is Psalm 124. Read this out.
If the Lord had not been on our side, let Israel say, if the Lord had not been on our side when people attacked us, they would have swallowed us alive. When their anger flared against us, the flood would have engulfed us. The torrent would have swept over us. The raging waters would have swept us away. O praise be to the Lord, who's not let us be torn by their teeth. We have escaped like a bird from the fowler's snare. The snare has been broken, and we have escaped. Our help is in the name of the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth.
Yeah, I mean, for us, occasionally escape by the skin of our teeth sometimes. But do you think that raging waters was a reference to my hair washing?
No, Adrian, I don't. I think you may like to think of yourself as having created raging waters, but what you actually created was a horrible spray of hot water.
I do like the idea, though, that every now and then, I love the idea that God nudges something in a particular direction, And I know there are people whose marriages have crashed and it's been horrible.
Yeah.
But I'm just thankful, really thankful that we've made it. And you can't help wondering if, sometimes a huge difference is made by just somebody touching somebody's life in a particular way.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true. Yes, it's quite interesting. I mean, we have known a few people, haven't we, who would have gone down some pretty strange paths if God hadn't sent somebody in, an angel in, that, just to nudge them. Yeah, I think you used the word nudge, and it's not dragging them back onto the track.
No, not
You've
really.
still got the choice always, but that little nudge that might mean that you end up, maybe back on the track, if you like.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, absolutely. I mean, what about well, I'm not going to say his name. I'm just going to say the person who was struggling with some people in his church and went down to the lake to try to think about it. Do you know who I mean?
Of course I do. Yeah, I mean that is a good example, but it's quite funny. I mean, he was a leader of the church at the time, and he had a couple in his church who were really getting up his nose, and he took a fairly spiritual view of this, and unfortunately decided maybe God wanted them to leave the church because they were creating problems. So he went down to the local lake and he walked around the lake and he prayed as he went about these people, and when he finished praying, he looked up, and there on the surface of the lake were 2 ducks, a male and a female.
Okay.
And he watched them, and as he watched them, they suddenly flew away.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought, that's it. That's the answer to my prayer. They should leave the church. Thank God, and started singing duck choruses and things. And then, if there are any, and then
I bet there is one.
There probably is. To his horror, they flew back again and landed on the lake again. So at that point he actually rang me, and I said, go down the pub with them and find out what's making them so difficult. I don't know whether he actually went to a pub or not. He may have done, but he did find out a lot more about them and why they were acting like they were, and I think it did make a significant difference on that occasion.
Yeah, I like that, because if they'd just been there and he'd been praying and there they were, he might have thought, oh no, I suppose that means they're going to stay. The fact that they flew away and he thanked God for it, and then they flew back, sort of broke into the whole thing. I think it made him laugh. It certainly made you laugh when he told
absolutely,
you about it.
Yeah, and the sound of ducks, the noise ducks make is a very laughy sort of sound.
They laugh, absolutely. Yes. So what about the big ones, the ones that we see as significant? I mean, I'm thinking of the dream that Peter had. I mean, that was a pretty
very good
big
example.
nudge. But the point about that is that...
You mean when he dreamt about
all the other foods and
animals he shouldn't eat. Yeah.
And then he got the people coming from Cornelius, and he connected the two things and thought, well, Cornelius is a Roman. Maybe, just maybe, God is nudging me to say that actually the Holy Spirit and everything that is happening isn't just for us. But the thing about that is he could have ignored it, and so could your friend. We can have a sign, we can have something that really nudges us, but the choice is still ours.
Oh, absolutely, of course.
I mean, everything in Peter's experience was that he would just think, well, that's very interesting. I'll talk to some people about it, but I won't necessarily connect those things.
Yeah.
So, yes, I mean, if we don't respond to nudges, yes, I mean, do you think God's hurt when we don't respond to the nudge, but we also don't recognise the nudge, so we say he hasn't done much to help us, but we wanted this.
Well,
where was the answer?
We've said that and we've heard it. I don't know. It kind of feels almost rude, to think that, but I think that must be so. I think it must be so. If you love, the risk is hurt. And if God so loved the world, etc., the verse we all know, then dealing with that love at some point is going to be very painful, I think.
But I hope
maybe
we don't just get one nudge. I hope, and I think that has been a problem for some people, that they have looked back at their lives and thought, I can see now that what God was saying, or what I think he was saying, and I ignored it. And sometimes they give up. There's a sort of feeling, oh, well, I had my go, I had my chance, and I've blown it. Well, I mean, that just can't be true, can it? It's
I know that's
1,000
rubbish.
new beginnings that God offers us. And he offered Peter a few, if you think about it. So,
I think new beginnings is one of the best things about the faith that we hang on to, that you can always draw lines, and I think that's great.
But it is, yes, I mean, it is hard to imagine what it is to be God and have all the power, so you could bring down your multitude of angels, you could change the course of history, you could make people love you.
How?
You could you could,
because
if you're
to,
God,
yes,
you could, and if you're God, you could twist things, you could manipulate things. It must be incredibly hard to have continued with that decision that clearly was a decision that we would be free to choose, to ignore, to make good decisions, to make bad decisions, to forgive or not to forgive.
That's very true, and there's very little record actually of God changing people in that way. They're usually on a journey, or they're traveling towards, they're on a journey towards change, like Zacchaeus and others. There's no, I don't think anyone has ever been made to love God, which I find very interesting. He obviously doesn't want.
I'm even trying to think about it. I'm sure other people will think about it. I can't think. Certainly in the Bible, I can't think of a single instance where people were made. Yeah. No, I don't think so. In fact,
well, we said last time, didn't we, that Jesus said he was praying for Peter. He wasn't able to use his power and say, "Izzy wizzy, let's get busy."
Oh, that's with well, we were talking about. I think we were talking about that on the conference. I'm not sure if we were talking about that last week. The idea of sifting.
Oh, that's right.
Because you've talked a lot about the sieve,
Satan
and we were thinking
Peter,
about the fact that actually Peter went through the sieve, and Satan was given the power to sift him.
Yeah.
And so what came through the sieve? And those words Jesus was praying for him.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, that is an extraordinary thought for us, isn't it? That when we're going through it, and some of the lumps are being sorted out and knocked out of us, that Jesus is praying for us.
It's a comforting thought.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Years ago, as you know, and you knew I would say this, and I would bring it with me, I wrote a poem called I Cannot Make You Love Me, which was kind of speculating on what God would want to say about these things, and this was it. And
I'm not sure if we've read this before, but it doesn't matter, does it?
But remember, it's speculative. I don't know what God thinks, but maybe something like this. If I wanted, I could take the light, one shining sheet of paper, crush it in my fist, and then it would be night.
If I was so inclined, I could destroy the day with fire and warm my hands at all your charred tomorrows. With the smallest movement of my arm, one flicker of my will, sweep you and all your darkness from the land. But I cannot make you love me.
I cannot make you love me.
I cannot make you will not make you.
I cannot make you love me.
If I wanted, I could lift the sea as if it were a turquoise tablecloth, uncover lost, forgotten things, unwritten history. It would be easy to revive the bones of men who never thought to see their homes again. I have revived one shipwrecked man in such a way.
The story of that rescuing, that coming home, might prove I care for you.
But though I can inscribe I love you in the sky and on the sea, I cannot make you love me.
I cannot make you. I will not make you. I cannot make you love me. I can be father, brother, shepherd, friend.
The rock, the door, the light, creator, son of man.
Emmanuel, redeemer, spirit, first and last, the lion or the lamb.
I can be master, lord, the way, the truth, the wine, bread or bridegroom.
Son of God, I am Jehovah, Saviour, Judge, the cornerstone, the vine.
I can be King of kings, deliverer, the morning star.
Alpha, Omega, Jesus, Rabbi, Carpenter, or morning dew.
Servant, teacher, sacrifice, the rose of Sharon.
I can be.
I have been
crucified for you. But I
cannot make you love me.
I can't make you love me.
I cannot make you, and I will not make you.
I cannot make you love me. Hey, well, I hope everybody has I don't know, as good a Christmas as you can. There's some love about for you. I hope you're not on your own.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah. And remember, Emmanuel, God with you.
Yeah.
Whether you're thinking about him as a baby, whether you're thinking about him as your friend, whether you're thinking about him as a God who can't make you love him, but would love
You love to hear from you.
you. You're not on your own. You're not on your own. God is on your side.
We'll see
So
you.
God bless.
See you in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.